Imagine walking into a school cafeteria in the 1970s. The smell hits you first. Warm bread, something cheesy, something sweet, and suddenly you're a kid again, holding a plastic tray, sliding it along a metal rail, eyes wide with anticipation. Back then, school lunches weren't just food. They were memories in the making. Today, we're taking a deep, emotional, nostalgia-packed journey through 15 school cafeteria meals from the 1970s that kids actually loved. And some of these might surprise you more than you expect. Before we begin, think about this. School lunches today are carefully measured, caloric counted, and tightly regulated. But in the 1970s, cafeteria food was bold, comforting, and sometimes unapologetically indulgent. Kids didn't talk about macros or ingredients. They talked about taste, portion size, and whether their favorite meal was on the menu that day. The first tray that made kids cheer was classic rectangular pizza. This wasn't artisan pizza or thin crust. It was thick, soft, slightly chewy, with a rich tomato sauce and melted cheese that stretched when you pulled it apart. It came wrapped in wax paper or served straight on the tray, often with corn or green beans on the side. Kids loved it because it felt like fast food inside a school, and that felt rebellious, exciting, and special. Then there was Meatloaf Day. For many kids, meatloaf at home could be hit or miss, but cafeteria meatloaf, that was a different story. It was warm, dense, and covered in a sweet ketchup glaze that made it irresistible. Served with mashed potatoes and gravy, this meal felt hearty, filling, and comforting, especially on cold school days. Some kids still say cafeteria meatloaf tasted better than anything they've had since fish sticks were another unexpected favorite. Crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside, and served with tartar sauce or ketchup. Fish sticks were simple but satisfying. They felt fun to eat, especially when paired with macaroni or fries. Even kids who didn't like fish somehow loved fish stick day. Macaroni and cheese was pure magic. Creamy, slightly salty, and bright orange. It didn't pretend to be fancy. It was comfort in a scoop. Kids traded snacks just to get an extra bite. It was often paired with peas. But let us be honest, most peas were pushed aside while every bit of mac and cheese disappeared. Sloppy joes were messy, sweet, and unforgettable. Soft hamburger buns, soaked up seasoned ground beef in a tangy sauce that dripped onto trays and fingers. No one cared about the mess. That mess was part of the fun. Sloppy Joe Day meant napkins everywhere and happy kids licking sauce off their hands. Chicken pot pie was another cafeteria legend. Breaking through the golden crust felt like opening a treasure chest. Inside was creamy chicken, peas, carrots, and gravy that warmed you from the inside out. It felt like a homemade meal, even though it came from a giant metal pan in the kitchen. Hot dogs were simple, but that's why kids loved them. Served in soft buns, sometimes slightly steamed, sometimes lightly toasted, hot dogs felt familiar and safe. Add a side of fries, and suddenly lunch felt like a weekend treat, not a school requirement. Tuna noodle casserole might sound strange today, but in the 1970s, it was a hit. Creamy noodles mixed with tuna and peas created a filling, savory dish that many kids surprisingly loved. It was one of those meals that grew on you, and before you knew it, your tray was empty. Chili Day was unforgettable. Thick, meaty chili, served with crackers or cornbread felt bold and grown-up. Kids loved crushing crackers into their bowls and stirring them in. It was warm, filling, and perfect for long afternoons in class. Grilled cheese sandwiches were golden, buttery perfection. The bread was crispy, the cheese melted just right, and when paired with tomato soup, it felt like comfort food royalty. Many kids still say school grilled cheese had a flavor they've never been able to recreate. Turkey and gravy with stuffing was often served even outside holidays. The gravy was rich, the stuffing soft and savory, and the whole meal felt like a mini Thanksgiving, something kids rarely complained about. French fries weren't always available, which made them special. When fries showed up on the tray, excitement spread across the cafeteria. They weren't fancy, but they were hot, salty, and impossible to resist. Breakfast for lunch was another fan favorite. Pancakes, sausage, and syrup in the middle of the school day felt almost illegal. Kids loved pouring syrup without limits and pretending it was Saturday morning. Beef stew was thick, hearty, and slow-cooked. Served with bread, it felt filling and warm. Many kids remember dipping bread into the stew and savoring every bite. And finally, dessert, because no cafeteria meal was complete without it. Chocolate pudding, yellow cake with frosting, or fruit cobbler brought everything together. Dessert days were the reason some kids never skipped lunch. These meals weren't perfect. They weren't trendy. They weren't health optimized, but they were comforting, filling, and deeply memorable. They created shared experiences, moments kids talked about on the bus ride home and remembered decades later. If this trip back to the 1970s made you smile, imagine what other forgotten school food memories are waiting to be rediscovered. One single tray of food can unlock an entire era. If you love nostalgic food stories like this, make sure you keep watching and visit the channel for the next video, because the past still has so many delicious secrets left to uncover.